Gerald Vetter is the president of Light of Christ Catholic Schools in the Diocese of Bismarck in North Dakota. So we talk about being cold. I bet it's probably even colder there.
Probably is.
And Gerald joins us today via phone. Gerald, thanks so much for being with us. How are you?
Welcome, great. And it is not horribly cold here today, so we're excited about that.
Well, tell us about the Light of Christ Schools in Bismarck and the recent opening of St. Mary's Central Catholic.
All right. Well, Light of Christ Catholic Schools was actually formed in 2012. At that time, the Catholic schools in Bismarck consisted of 3 elementary schools and a central high school called St. Mary's Central High School, where I was teaching, taught there for many years prior to this. And they knew that the parishes knew, because they were parochial schools, the parishes knew that in order to continue to be sustainable and viable, that something needed to be done before there was, an emergent need. So they decided to combine all of the elementary schools and the high school. And the high school was centrally owned prior to that, of all of the schools, the Central High School name. And they made a commitment. And, at that time, Bishop Kagan was just arriving. But the commitment was that no one would be turned away from Catholic education due to space or due to the fact of financial need. And, everyone got busy working, and through that time, we've grown 40% in student population. We've built a new high school, and the old high school is now our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade academy. So we now have 3 elementary schools, no longer parochial, and a central middle school called our academy, the St. Mary's Academy, and the St. Mary's Central High School.
This is Bishop Reed, Gerald. I always love when you apply the word academy. It kind of raises things up to a different level. I am interested in this conversation, especially since I'm the pastor of a parish with a school, Blessed Sacrament in Walpole. And just the other day we had Tom Carroll, who's our relatively new superintendent of schools here in the Archdiocese, and he talked about the importance of Catholic identity and also strong leadership for the future. How do you incorporate such important elements into this new cooperation between elementary schools and high schools there under the Light of Christ umbrella?
Yeah. So I think what we've been really, really blessed with here is a long legacy of Catholic education. 1878. The first school was actually called the St. Mary's Academy and Boarding School, and it was filled with students the very first day it opened, and they were overflowing. So I guess that it's reminiscent to what we've been dealing with here, with a lot of crowding for a number of years, as we had 600 students on our campus of the academy, and portable classrooms and things like that. A good problem, but I think our community's always been really, really supportive of Catholic education, and it was just when Bismarck was started. So Catholic education's been a part of our cultural fiber, and it's just been continued. And our goal is to make sure that we're around for the next 140 years.
Now, you recently launched an exciting fundraising matching gift. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, we knew that we'd need space, and in really our campaign of $46.5 million began in November of 2015, when 48 acres of land, prime land, was donated to the north of us in a growing part of Bismarck. And we needed to raise 80% through pledges before we could begin. We were able to do that, so that was about $32 million. And to date, we're at about, we should pass by the end of this week, $44 million towards the construction of not only a new high school, which is state-of-the-art and beautiful, but also an addition to St. Mary's Grade School downtown, and also St. Anne Grade School, which will be completed in August. Not to mention renovations and things like that. So basically it was $46.5 million for right-sizing our schools to accommodate our students, which next year will be over 1,400 students.
You have great plans for the present and the future, but what about next week? How are you celebrating Catholic Schools Week, and how can we learn more about the Light of Christ, this Light of Christ Catholic School Initiative?
Right. So lightofchristschools.org is our website. We do a good job. I wouldn't say marketing. I'm thinking we're just, we're trying to tell our story as much as we can. And that, I think it's neat that we can do this nationally. Every day we celebrate Catholic schools, where we're at. But for that 1 week, everybody in the nation could say, we're in this together and we're doing some great things. Our elementary schools, everything from our elementaries will have a consolidated mass with Bishop Kagan. They do lots of fun things. Bowling is popular. There are some years, we get outside, but last year the weather conditions were minus 50 wind chill, so that put a clamp on a few things. And then, our high school is also involved in something called Know Your Faith competition between all of the other high schools in North Dakota, where you have a local competition of knowing your faith. That class then represents your school, and the schools then go head-to-head, which will be Wednesday. And actually, our new high school will be hosting that event. And it's wild. It's a little bit of a rock concert. It's a little bit of prayer, and then it's a little bit of healthy competition. So it's fun, and it's dynamic, and it's very unusual. And, it's just a way to celebrate together.
Well, Gerald, thank you so much for joining us today, telling us all the great work that you're doing, and keep it up.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great Catholic Schools Week. God bless.